So is Asmon taking a break? What's going on with all these people moving over to YouTube? In general, yesterday there was a number of people taking a break from Twitch. So, not seeing Asmon live while Rich was doing Rich Cobb was, a shift. And let's find out what's going on there.
Anybody that hasn't seen this, Tim the Tatman today was announced that he was going to be leaving YouTube. He's going to be leaving Twitch and going to YouTube. So he's no longer streaming on Twitch. You guys remember 2 years ago?
Not alone. Lupo. These are massive names. Lupo, Lyric, Tim the Tatman. These are massive streamers. When you see somebody like Lyric live, you're like, why is Roller Coaster Tycoon have 30,000 people watching it or something silly? It's because Lyric is playing it. So these are massive creators.
I remember I watched the video whenever it was Tim and ironically Lupo and Lyric and I think one other person that all at the same time signed exclusive deals for Twitch. Well, these are all 2-year deals. Just trust me, I know that they're 2-year deals. So this has run out at this point, and Tim has pursued a contract with YouTube. YouTube is, in my opinion, growing a lot in live streaming, and I think it's going to continue growing, and I want to talk about why that is, and the reasons that I think that YouTube is going to continue to expand and get bigger over time. One thing that a lot of people forget, and this is something that a lot of people just don't really, they just forget, they don't realize, is that for every one user that Twitch has, YouTube has 200. YouTube is astronomically bigger than Twitch is.
Yes, by a ridiculous degree. The best streaming tools for both the content creator and the viewer, having tried both sides of that, in my opinion, was Mixer. They were doing a lot of really cool stuff. They were doing it very nimbly and very quickly. So when something was asked for, it felt like they were the kind of company that could make those changes very, very rapidly. Facebook currently owns that suite of tools, so we'll see what they do with it. But the audience of consuming video style content in both a live and post format is YouTube is the second largest search algorithm in the world, only second to Google. YouTube is enormous. And so YouTube is the largest platform. Now, the obvious one not mentioned in the room here is Twitch. And so why do I stream on Twitch? Because Twitch is the only one that has been able to put those two together, where you can marry having a group full of people interested in watching content and a group full of people interested in making content in a live format, and they can find each other and have a good time, and the tools are there. YouTube streaming regularly feels like they're not, they're just now kind of learning what a subscription is and what these different kind of bits are, and, they don't have access to something like Prime subs, and they're not really ready to do something like gifted subs, and they're just now learning that people might want to cheer on individual videos and all these things that they're leaving kind of ways to support creators on the table, off the table. And when you see what that support does, that support can do a number of things. It can raise money for charity. It can allow these creators to do it full time. It can create high production quality things. And so a lot of times on the YouTube side of things, you see YouTubers regularly supported by a Patreon, as opposed to on the Twitch side of things, while they may have a Patreon or they may have, an OnlyFans or whatever it is in addition to that, a lot of Twitch streamers really spend a lot of their time focused on making their money on platform. And so Twitch does a great job of putting these two things together for the live format. The moment you are not live, the Twitch VOD system leaves a ton to be desired compared to what YouTube can do with that very same VOD. Literally just exported. Very no title, no thumbnail, just put the same title that your stream had, just export it. No tags, no description, all these things that allow your video to gain some SEO presence and make it easier to put it in front of the people who would like it and keep it away from the people who would not like it. Even without all that, exporting your VOD raw to YouTube can perform better than it does here on Twitch, and that's just a weakness of that. So when people wonder why Brian and I use both, it's because they're both very good at different things. But YouTube's audience is enormous.
It's not even remotely close YouTube is massive, and YouTube is also Google. You have to keep that in mind too. So on a macro level, I think that Google and YouTube are just completely killing Twitch, because they just have a much larger endemic audience. They have a much larger group of people that are watching their content and everything. And on top of that, another big reason why I think YouTube is just so much bigger is the fact that it has so much more of a scope of content. I think that Twitch, this has been like a negative with Twitch, I think it served to be one, is that Twitch has not really been able to shed the skin of its gaming-centric platform expectation. So there's a lot of people who don't...
Keep in mind that Twitch started as Justin TV, a guy with a big old backpack that allowed him to broadcast. People wanted to be able to broadcast their own stuff. Eventually what happened is that turned into people broadcasting things that shouldn't be broadcast, either because they don't have the rights to or because it is wildly inappropriate, and so platforms don't want to be associated with that. Rightfully so, where there's literally violence or things like that, but also just inappropriate behavior. And so gaming became the one place where they were not, broadcasting an NFL game without the explicit permission of the NFL, or something that you would have to contact the police about as a platform holder. And it became that safe space relative to everything else, and it took. And so as gaming grew, Twitch has become associated as a gaming platform. Well, when you put your Prime with Twitch, it's called Prime Gaming. And so it's very easy to associate Twitch with gaming. It is not just gaming. So as you see the just chatting section blowing up over the last year or so with live broadcasts, live panels, things like hot tub streams, which of course shift the conversation away from the variety of content and end up making it turn into something else entirely. But it becomes a space where you can have very different communities operating on the same platform that have little to no overlap. And from a platform holder standpoint, that is resilience.
Don't want to watch gaming. I think most people don't want to watch gaming. Whenever you really think about it, that's why YouTube and Twitch is a 1 to 200 ratio. A lot of people love seeing makeup tutorials, IRL videos, blogs, etc. And I think Twitch over the years has cultivated an audience of people who, in a lot of ways, place in terms of virtue gaming above those other types of content. And I think this has been to the detriment, and it's been reductionist towards Twitch, and it's actually hurt Twitch's growth potential, because people only look at Twitch in the context of being a gaming website rather than in the context of being a live streaming website. YouTube's going to buy them out. YouTube's not going to buy Twitch because Amazon owns Twitch, and I don't really think that Amazon would get rid of Twitch. It would be possible, but I don't even know if they could buy Twitch.
They're a lot more symbiotic than people realize. Yes, at the big level, you see them kind of poaching creators and things like that, but at this point, there is literally a tool on the back end native in Twitch where I can export my VOD straight to YouTube. It just carries it over, and I can decide to push it public based on that or private. It is very easy to navigate between these two platforms. Yes, you are not allowed to, if you are a partner here on Twitch, or I think even affiliate, you're not allowed to make that content go live until it has been 24 hours. So they have rights to the first 24 hours in trade for letting you broadcast here at no cost. And so yes, there are restrictions on these things, but they're relatively light compared to the fact that the viewer and the creator really don't have to spend any money to have access to these platforms. Ad revenue really pays for the bulk of it. And so I think they're not that much of competitors that one wants the other to fail. They just want to be sure they're getting their half or more of the pie. But I don't think they'd be interested in buying them. I don't think they could afford them. YouTube made $600 million last year or something like that. Twitch made a fraction of that, but still an enormous number. So they're making enormous amounts of money. So for Amazon to let it go, especially as Amazon looks at building New World to integrate directly with Twitch, as they look at the amount of metrics that they're getting on people, viewership is something they really do care for, because they're looking for analytics. I don't know that either one of these companies would be interested in letting it go for a fair price, and the fair prices would already be enormous numbers.
And that's really the truth, because there are a lot of antitrust and anti-monopoly laws, and I think that if YouTube bought Twitch, that might actually go into that territory, but you still do have Facebook to counterbalance it. So it's hard to say. YouTube and Twitch, the reason why YouTube is poised to be able to actually contest with Twitch and compete with Twitch in terms of live streaming space is that they both have endemic audiences. They both have organic audiences that exist on the platform. They're basically, whenever you bring over Shroud, whenever you bring over Ninja, you bring over one of these big content creators, it's like taking a gigantic tree out of a forest. And if you plant that tree all by itself with no grass around it, no other vegetation around it, nothing, that tree is either going to stop growing or it's going to die. And the reason for that is because you need to create an ecosystem. And this is what YouTube is doing, is they are creating much more of an ecosystem rather than what Mixer is doing. What Mixer did is they just picked up a few trees and they relocated them and the trees died. YouTube has got a completely different perspective with this. YouTube is picking up Dr. Lupo. They're picking up Tim the Tatman. They already have Dr. Disrespect. They've got a number of other content creators like Courage. You have these 4 people, and Courage plays with Tim, and Tim plays with Doc, and Doc plays with Dr. Lupo, and then Dr. Lupo plays with Courage, and then Dr. Lupo also plays with Tim, and then Dr. Lupo and Tim and Courage all play together. So what is this? This is what's called cross-pollination. This is creating that ecosystem of viewership. So whenever a person stops watching Dr. Disrespect, they don't leave the platform. They go over and they watch another streamer on the platform. And I think that's really where YouTube is making a point of difference in the way that they can compete with Twitch legitimately, is that they're able to create that ecosystem itself. They're able to create the amount of people who are able to, it's a human centipede. You're right. It's basically what it is. You need to have those shrubs. You need to have those viewers, the streamers that are at 200, 500 viewers. You need to have those streamers that are up 3,000, 30,000 viewers. You need to create the entire, I think the best metaphor for this is a forest. You create the forest, you create the ecosystem. And whenever you do that, you don't just pick up trees. You don't just pick up shrubs. You pick up everything. And that's where I really think YouTube is going to be able to come out ahead. And that's why I think that Twitch should be concerned about YouTube, is because YouTube is uniquely poised to have the audience, they have the money, and they also can guarantee growth. There are success metrics and success cases on YouTube in a way that there are not on Mixer, or not as much really on Facebook. And Ninja, Ninja is the opposite, right? Ninja is the example of moving platforms and it being very bad. But
keep in mind, YouTube also allows a content creator to move towards something more sustainable than Twitch. So where Twitch allows this really fast flash in the pan growth for the people that make it to the top of a directory, it really doesn't do much for the people at the bottom of the directory because of the way it's sorted. It allows for very, very spontaneous growth. But to keep that sustainable, it is very, very hard for a Twitch streamer to make any money if they are not live. Not everybody will keep their sub rolling. The bits fall off. The ad view and things on VODs and all of that require a substantial number of VODs to make any money. And over the years, because of the way VOD policies have changed as far as what content can be in VODs, especially with relation to things like DMCA, as those have changed, people have spent years building up big VOD libraries under a rule set and an understanding of what Twitch would and would not enforce within that rule set. And when that changed, there were people who were operating outside of the new set of enforcement rules, and they lost huge amounts of that. And so there isn't anything there for Twitch streamers on their days off. But YouTube, I have videos from 2 or 3 years ago that'll get a comment today. Somebody will discover that today and will hit subscribe and join the community and say thank you today. And the ad revenue from them will come in the next check from Google. And so it's something where it's slower to get going, and that's why you see a lot of full-time creators add Twitch if they weren't already there, because YouTube is very slow. If you want to say, hey, I'd like to make twice as much money on YouTube, start hitting publish a lot. It just takes work. But on the Twitch side, it's faster. There's this immediacy to, if you do something worth supporting, hopefully people will find you and support that thing, and it's going to happen very, very quickly. You're talking about these people that he's bringing over. The people he's talking about here are established people. Established people that would like to one day be able to retire. And so a big fat check on the front end. I believe Lupo said directly that this check meant that he was technically set for life. He's not done working, but it means technically everything after this is gravy. So I think he's done. So the big check, of course, is very, very tempting. But in addition to that, these are creators that, as you talk about the ability to say, hey, I'm done streaming, I want to raid a premiere of a video, which is where we're all going to watch a video live. You can't fast forward or rewind until the video is over. And we're going to go watch my new video live. And we're going to take this whole audience in and we're going to jump start a video as it goes live and give it a boost in the algorithm. You know, the fact that there are these kind of abilities to generate community growth outside of the times that you're live. You look at people that are brilliant creators but only stream in very specific timetables. People like Lamatod immediately spring to mind. He is a Final Fantasy XIV nighttime streamer. There are a lot of people that would benefit from the incredible amount of knowledge and the attitude and the willingness to share and to teach Savage-style content inside the Final Fantasy XIV community in a live format with noobs in the party explaining regular common mistakes from a million different perspectives, watching different groups prog, so you're always learning something different. It's a phenomenal stream to hang out in. But it takes place during hours that a lot of us can't stay up and watch the whole thing. And so, how do you consume that content? And so, for these people that can afford to have things like editors where they're not taking on the burden of creating that backlog of YouTube content, Asmongold is not editing the videos on Asmongold TV. They're able to create a sustainable growth model where even if he's on break this week, there is still money coming in. There's still growth coming in, right? It's not just about the money for these people. Asmongold lives with his parents. He drives a car from 2005. His big reward for making it big is he's joked that he gets 32-ounce Dr. Peppers. It's not about the money, but it is about keeping it sustainable, keeping it relevant. It's about keeping the tree growing or at least stable. And the YouTube side of things allows that sustainability if you already bring size with you.
But the point that I'm making is that whenever you see these people moving over, most of the time this is a retirement plan. This is a sunset in their career. But what YouTube has been able to prove is that that is not the case. They've been able to prove that, and the creators there have been able to prove that you can move over to YouTube and the water's just fine. And in an ironic way, I think that you can draw a lot of parallels between people moving over from Twitch to YouTube and people moving over from WoW to Final Fantasy XIV, because it takes a few people to move over and show that, to legitimize the process and legitimize this decision for everybody else to feel more comfortable. Here's the point. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys this right now. Do you know whenever YouTube is going to actually, you know what is going to legitimize YouTube as a streaming platform? Is whenever people move over there without getting paid. That is whenever it begins. And the more people that you have over there that are already building an ecosystem, like Tim, Doc, Dr. Lupo and Doc, how are they both doctors? Like, how are they, but they're not. We know that. We know they're not real doctors. But still. And as soon as you start seeing enough of those larger creators that are able to cross-pollinate each other and keep those viewers on the platform, then you're going to see other people wanting to transition over to playing and streaming on YouTube. I think that once that happens, the moment that happens,
I think what triggers that moment, so when I worked in sales, sometimes you would come across a client who was happy with their existing vendor. And they were very happy with their existing vendor. Their vendor was doing everything right. They had a good, attentive sales rep. They had a great support staff. The what they were selling was doing a phenomenal thing at performing its job. There was no friction. And so there's nothing to point at. There's nothing to say, hey, I could do that thing better than them. There isn't anything. All you can do at that point is, the way that I could win those clients over is you can establish yourself as a reputable alternative, which you do by bringing over their peer group, which is the equivalent of paying these streamers to come over. So you say, hey, you have a relationship with this other adjacent client of mine. They're really happy with me. I'm glad you're happy with who you're with. Just wanted to stop by and say hello. And so you make yourself a reputable place, which is what YouTube's doing with what he's describing. And then to get that organic growth, to get that person to naturally call you, you just need their vendor to make a mistake. That's all you need. And that cuts both ways. If you make a mistake, somebody waiting in the wings can take a client from you. You just need them to make a mistake. And so if Twitch has a big adpocalypse or some big social controversy where it turns out that they're intentionally doing something that penalizes a certain portion of the community or is affecting their staff in a certain way, or if Amazon takes some public stance that some community on Twitch deems distasteful or something like that, that's what it takes. And YouTube doesn't need to create that thing. They need to be patient. And so what they can do is they can build the safe haven. They can remind Twitch partners and Twitch affiliates that they're there. We're here. We'd be happy to have you. I'm glad you're happy where you are. Continue exporting your VODs to us. We'll be here. And then they just have to wait. Because every time Twitch does something stupid, and platforms always eventually do something stupid, they're not perfect. They're run by people. They can gain people. And they just need to have the amount of people they gain from Twitch doing something stupid be larger than the amount of people that they lose from YouTube doing something stupid, because it 100% goes the other way. Where YouTube does something, they demonetize a channel, or they delete somebody's videos, or they let some copyright thing stand that doesn't have any right to do so, or they feel that the algorithm is suppressing them, and then it goes the other direction. And so Final Fantasy XIV did this with WoW, absolutely. They didn't try to pass WoW. They didn't talk bad about WoW. As a matter of fact, they've been nothing but appreciative and complimentary of WoW. Because they do. They've been inspired by WoW. They've played WoW. They like Blizzard games. So the creators over at Square Enix have been nothing but complimentary. And to the players, they've said, hey, I'm glad you're having fun with games. I encourage our own players to take breaks from our game. As long as everybody's having fun, we're good. But if you're ever not having fun, I just want you to know I'm here. I have a critically acclaimed free trial. No pressure. And then you wait. And you just keep showing up and doing the right thing day in, day out. 10 years to overnight success. Almost to the day. 10 years of doing the right things consistently. The moment Yoshi P took over the helm, they have been nailing it time and time again. And when they've made a mistake, they've turned that mistake into something that we love them for, because the mistake gave them a chance to show us how much they care, how much they listen, how much better they can do. So even when they make mistakes, Raubon Extreme resulting in Shadowbringer's unbelievably smooth launch, we see them learn from mistakes. Those make us love them almost more than all the things they do perfectly. So this 10 years of doing all the right things, they just needed to wait for WoW to make a mistake. And then WoW and Blizzard as a whole made a series of mistakes. Too many mistakes, because now Final Fantasy is like, okay, this is too many coming over. We'll do our best. Have a seat. Anywhere is fine. I'll get to you when I can.
That's whenever all bets are off. That's whenever it's going to be a real competition between Twitch and YouTube. And I think that really this would have happened way earlier. The only reason why it hasn't happened earlier is because in Twitch contracts, in every single Twitch contract, except for like maybe a handful of grandfathered contracts or something like that with specific partners, every single one has an exclusivity clause. And what that means is that you can only stream on Twitch. That's it.
The more you tie yourself in with a platform, the more exclusivity you're tying in with. So if you're an affiliate, I don't know how strict they are on that. If you're a partner, it really restricts you pretty heavily. So Brian and I's work to game streams have to live here. And so, like, the further you get into the process, the more they give you, the more they want in return. VODs, Twitch has been pretty loose with, and I think that's because if they weren't, they would lose creators. And so, like, I think that's literally just a bargaining position. Is we don't really make that much money off your VODs because we're not good at handling them. You seem to care a lot. Fine, do whatever you want with your VODs. Give us 24 hours. Just so that it doesn't look like you're like streaming with a weird delay. It's like, no. As soon as it's 24 hours old, I don't really know what to do with your content anyway. Take it wherever you want.
Because here's the truth. Here's the reality. Is that, do you remember whenever we watched Gamescom? Did I watch that on Twitch or did I watch it on YouTube? I watched it on YouTube. And the reason for that is because their video player is better. That's it. Their video player is better. Now, I
usually have both up. So when we cover live letters or FanFest, I usually have a tab with the YouTube stream up and with the Twitch stream up, so that the moment I have issues, I tab over. So I can just pull from both.
Said this to someone on Twitter. I said that, well, someone's like, oh, well, Twitch has a better chat experience. I hate to tell you guys this, but most people don't care about chat. But what I will say is that if you think the YouTube chat is worse, ask yourself the simple question. Is it easier to solve the problem of bad audio and video quality, or is it easier to solve the problem of a bad chat experience? And I think it is so obvious that it is way fucking easier to fix the chat. It is way easier to add in emotes and to add in different types of things that simulate the value of Twitch chat. Now for me, right, I guess I'll talk.
The counter to that is it does seem easy to add that stuff, and yet YouTube has been incredibly slow to do so. So clearly it is not that easy, or they would have it. So, you know, there are aspects of the YouTube experience that sometimes feel very clumsy, and we kind of joke like, oh, well, they're just trying to figure this thing out. They're kind of new. But like, because there are times that every once in a while YouTube will do these just amazing, beautiful things. When I upload a video, how fast it encodes, the way their algorithm works, the amount of tools they make available to me on the back end, there's so much so good about YouTube. But every once in a while, they do something where you're like, this can't be hard. But it must be, or they would have fixed it.
Talk about, like, for me personally, would I ever move to YouTube? I know a lot of people ask about that all the time, and like especially today, they're like, oh man, is Asmon taking some time off because he's going to move to YouTube? No, I'm not planning on moving to YouTube right now. Now, if YouTube wants to pay me $20 million, we'll see what happens. But well, I'm waiting for the check. Let's just say that. Yeah, I'm waiting for the check. I think that, like, the funny thing is that more people watch me on YouTube than watch me on Twitch. Like, for example,
that's not uncommon. So you know, obviously he operates at a scale well above mine, but we'll see how far he goes into the details here.
On the month that I played Final Fantasy, I got, like, on Twitch, I think it was like 14 million views, because there's like a graphic that was made about it. Like 14 million live views on Twitch, or views on like my VODs and like my videos. 14 million.
Okay, so there's a couple of terms here when you talk about size of audience. So Twitch most commonly deals in concurrence. That's the number of people watching you simultaneously in a given minute. And you look at the average number of concurrents per minute over the total number of minutes you streamed, and that's your average concurrence. And that is what Twitch sponsorships, Twitch partner, a lot of things are based around concurrence. There is also what's called unique viewers, and that's the number of people that pass through your stream. So the number of unique IP addresses and devices that literally click on your stream, watch it for an amount of time that they are deemed a viewer. So if they just click on, click off, they don't count. And then you have this number. On the YouTube side of things, you have what's called views, which are identical to kind of unique viewers. And those are people who watched enough of the video for the algorithm to deem that it wasn't a mistake or something like that. And that's the number of views. And then you have the number of impressions. Impressions is the number of people that saw or were exposed to your thumbnail. So they thought about clicking your video, but it was put in a list and they didn't end up choosing you. And so in theory, you have impressions on Twitch, but it doesn't track that for me. At least not on the tools I have. Maybe Asmon has something better. So impressions to views, views to concurrence. On YouTube, it doesn't matter how many people are watching your videos simultaneously. It would matter on the streaming side of things, but it doesn't matter for the VODs. And so you're literally talking about how many people can watch a video 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for as long as that video can live. And in the first 30 days of that video, it is not uncommon for a single video of mine to get more views than the number of unique viewers that I get in a single 6-hour stream. A single 6-hour stream has substantially more unique viewers than concurrents, and so you're taking the number of people you see watching Asmon, you're multiplying that to get your unique viewers. It's a massive number. If you see 50,000 people watching him, the number of unique viewers is enormous. But then you're taking that and you're saying that's the number of people that had the ability to watch him on Twitch, exclusively on Twitch, during this time window and only during this time window, and then maybe the ones that went back and caught it on a VOD. Over on YouTube, that's every single person that saw this headline. And so it can literally go from hundreds of thousands to millions of views per video. And so it's just, when he does like his reaction content live, when I do my reaction content live, I've been asked by other content creators, hey, doesn't that hurt your YouTube views? No, because the number of people watching on Twitch, even if all of them literally don't watch anything of mine on YouTube for the next month, you're not understanding the difference in the scale. They're two completely different platforms. And so the reasons you make content on them are different. I enjoy making content on Twitch for the benefits and the fun and the reasons you make content on Twitch, and I enjoy YouTube for the reasons that I'm on YouTube. They're different things. The way they pay you are different. The way they generate value for the community, what I offer to the different communities are different. What they offer to the viewer are different. And so effectively, me recording a reaction on Twitch and then posting that reaction to YouTube, in my mind, they really do perform like they are two completely different pieces of content that just happen to be created simultaneously.
I got over 50 million views on YouTube. Over 50 fucking million views. I'm very lucky for that. I want to say thank you guys if you're watching this on YouTube, which is why I'm really kind of making this video. Yeah, this isn't like a weird thing where I'm going to go on break but stream for 12 hours a day on Zach Rar or something like that. There's a lot.
For anybody speculating on the money side, I will tell you that all of these viewer numbers, these don't tell you anything about the money. Websites like Social Blade will make a guess. I am telling you that having been able to see my own analytics, being able to see Brian's analytics from Ginger Prime, as well as the analytics of a handful of creators, both larger and smaller than us, who we have kind of done some behind-the-scenes comparisons to get a little context. I am telling you that the number of viewers on Twitch simultaneously, or the number of views on YouTube, best case, it gives you a ballpark, and that ballpark needs to be something like they made somewhere between $200 and $5,000. Like, those are the sorts of ranges where, like, honestly, like, Social Blade is an average of an average of an average. It's averaging across different genres, which is not how advertising revenue works. The CPM on a makeup channel is so outrageously high compared to a gaming channel. Just know that big bucket of views equals big bucket of money. Small bucket of views equals small bucket of money. But, like, within comparing, if you see somebody that's, like, half the size of somebody else, it is absolutely possible that they are making more money. So for the people that say, like, oh, well, this person should just hire an editor, or this person should just do this thing differently, or, oh, I bet that person's set for life, I'm just telling you, like, you don't know that. You don't know that. The ability to make a stable living is very different than what I think what a lot of the headlines try to draw. The headlines don't look at, you know, this person's making a living. The headlines want to go take a handful of people and saying, hey, we did a bunch of faulty math and we came out to a number with a lot of commas. I bet that's real, right?
Like, I'll talk about reason why I want to go on break. Just like, there's a lot of reasons, but like, I want people to understand that it's really got nothing to do. Think about it like a car, okay? Like, let me just go ahead and use this as an example. Like, think about it like a car. I feel like the car that I have that's my stream is not running properly. And the annoying people on Twitter and everything like that, that's like having a mosquito in the car while you're driving. Is it annoying? Does it make it a little bit worse? Yeah, it does. But that's not really what the problem is. It's not. I think that I'm at like a weird crossroads of like the way that I want to do my streams. And I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I don't know what to do. And That's why I'm taking a little bit of a break to figure out what I want to do and how I want to go forward. That's really what it comes down to. And it's got nothing really to do with people being mean or whatever. Like, obviously it makes it worse. Yeah, sure. But, like, it's not really a factor. You want to stop playing Final Fantasy? No, that's not it. I wish I could play it more, but I want to save everything for being on stream. So yeah, it's actually the opposite in a way. Choosing I want to choose a direction for my stream, what I want to do with my stream. I think that's really what it comes down to. I'm trying to figure out like what direction to go with the stream. And there's also like real life things that are going on too. I've said before, like my mom's been kind of like not feeling well, and it's been harder for her to get around the house. That's not been good, and it's been not good, and so yeah, there's really a lot of things going on behind the scenes that people don't really know. That's the point. Hope you're gonna be okay soon. Me too. I just like I'm trying to take some time off too. Like I'm gonna try to get the house cleaned up for her, and really just do some stuff to try to just make her life better. You know, because like. I feel like there's like the kitchen's a mess, like the house is a mess, and it's like she doesn't like that. It's hard for her to clean everything up, and it's like I finished my stream. I'm tired, and I don't want to deal with it. And I feel guilty, and like she feels guilty for asking me. I feel guilty for not doing it. It's just hire a maid. I mean, I think that's. I'd like to hire somebody, but like it just sucks, man. That just sucks. I never wanted to grow up. I never did. This sucks as much dick as I thought it would. But there is one good thing is I can go to Chipotle whenever I want. I go get food whenever I want. That is good. That's one of the good parts of it. But everything else sucks. Yeah, I don't want to get too far into that. But just know that like there's a lot of other things going on in my personal life that.
This is why he lives the way he lives. He helps take care of his family, and you know, this is what put him on a path to be the creator. It's what gave him the time to kind of know life a video game, where he had the opportunity to become the personality he is. So like but it's not, that wasn't the original goal. It wasn't I'm gonna stay home and become a big video game superstar. Like that wasn't the goal. The goal first and foremost, like he takes care of his family, and it's a really personal thing, you know. Like somebody suggested go get a maid. Well, it's possible that his mom doesn't want a maid. When my wife asked me to do the dishes, the answer is not, oh, I found somebody to do the dishes for us. She asked me to do the dishes because she wants to feel like I'm pulling my weight, because she does a lot and she wants to feel like I'm doing stuff too. So it's not everything can just be money as the answer. You know, time is the one thing that, like, he's having trouble generating more of. Obviously, access to money and having really kind of the things he wants in life not be $250,000 cars and $10 million houses. The amount of money he has, resources is not the issue, but time is something that you don't really get to buy that more of in the short term. In the long term, money can extend your lifespan. People with more money tend to live longer, but that is not helpful today. You don't get an extra number of hours per day. You don't get an extra, number of minutes of attentiveness for less sleep. You don't get any of that. You have to still take care of yourself, the body that you're in. You have to spend time with those around you, and you're still limited on the number of things you can do at one time. So, I think breaks are really healthy. One of the things that I see a lot of these really large ones struggle with is that balance. They get into a point where they're playing one game, whether or not they enjoy it. They get into streaming one style of content, whether or not they enjoy it. And they get in that point, and I've seen it in other industries. It's not unique to this. When I worked in sales, you get into guys and girls that are making a certain amount of money from a certain type of client. They just take it on and they take it on and they take it on to the point where everything in their life starts to struggle. And by the time they realize that it's gotten to that point, it's hard to step back because they've built so much on this unsustainable workflow that there's no ability to pare it back. You've got to just cut it off altogether. And so they have to go take time. And so they get this far ahead because of the lack of balance, but there is a cost to the lack of balance.
It's outside of streaming. Like, it's not like I've seen like some Reddit comments and things like that, people admonishing viewers that are demanding or whatever. Like, yeah, it stresses me out a little bit for sure. It's just a drop in a bucket, man. Like, it's a drop in a bucket. Like, that's not, don't worry about that. Like, I'll handle myself. I'm a grown ass man. It's other shit that that's a lot bigger than that. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, and that's what it is. Yeah, getting old sucks. I feel like I'm not old, but feels like everything else around me is getting old. I don't know. Like, if the more I talk about this, the more I want to talk about it, and I don't want to talk about it. So let's not talk about it anymore. Let's just move on. I want to get. You still doing a PO box stream? Yeah. Spoiler. PO box stream's probably gonna be my second stream back. First stream I want to do Stormblood, and then second stream I want to do PO box, and I'm excited for it. Proved money isn't everything. Having money isn't everything, but not having it is. It's just that simple. If you know, you know. Either way, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about YouTube. Let's talk a little bit more about YouTube. Get into that.
I think that's a great comment right there. You know, people who are on their deathbed, all they want is a little more time healthy. People who are broke, all they need is a little money to get past those next big hurdles. But once those hurdles get out of the way, once you are not in fear of your health and you are not living paycheck to paycheck, there's a whole nother wave of problems that suddenly feel just as big. And so there have been times in my life where I have made what to me feels like a lot of money. That's a relative scale for everybody, so I'm aware of other people who make much bigger numbers, but to me it felt like a lot. It didn't fix everything. I have also been at times in my life where like I literally didn't know how I was going to get enough food, and I will tell you that somebody giving me $20-$30 would have made a pretty big difference. Times when I've been living on $700 or $800 a month for rent plus bills plus food, you get pretty hungry pretty fast. So I do think that he kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like, if you have enough, more doesn't feel like the answer. If you don't have enough, that's a different struggle.
That maybe try a YouTube test stream on your return? No, because I got a contract with Twitch. Like, so I don't have, like, I guess I can just say transparency. Twitch did not offer me a custom contract. They did not offer me. I was going to see if I could get one. They would not give me one. I think that's probably because, you know, I take a lot of breaks. And also it's because I've probably been, like, really critical of the platform. And they could see me as, like, a, what's the word for it? Like a politically...
I mean, he's definitely a liability, but like you also see people like Dr. Disrespect being like his persona is inherently, let's call it disrespectful. And so like we've seen him get deals, so and they can pull those deals back if you breach. And so as long as they put their own terms in to protect themselves, they can cover up the liability and still offer him a deal. I think the breaks is the bigger thing. I think the inconsistency and the fact that he probably wasn't willing to budge on that, and they knew that. And so like if they came to the table and said, I mean, you see Ninja going live consistently, whether he's to a big number or not. He plays whatever games he wants, it seems, but he's consistently going live. And so there is some aspect of it. You've got to be willing to give them something. It can't be, hey, I want a lot of money. I want to do what I want. I want to say what I want. I'm offering you nothing in return. You ready? Like, you got to bring something back. So if he's very much like, I do it my way, when I want, how I want, cool. So we're going to leave things pretty standard.
Correct. They could see me as like a liability in some ways. Brand risk, yeah, exactly. That's fine. That's fine. Like, it made me, it bothered me for like a day, and then I realized that why do I need a stamp of approval from a bunch of people that don't even like me to feel good about myself? And then I think to myself, I'm gonna go on tomorrow. I'm gonna make a good show, and fuck them. That's the way I feel. But either way, I still do have a base Twitch contract. Disclosure, by the way. Everybody knows this, but like it is what it is. And you have exclusivity in your partner contract, so I can't stream on YouTube or they'd terminate my partnership. They probably wouldn't. It'd be just like a bunch of drama, and it's like I wouldn't want to deal with it. What about making a new platform with other streamers? That's like making a new country, man. It's you know, you don't like America. How did Chaz go? Not too good. Truth is, like, doing something like that is really hard. And unless you have like think about the people that are the players.
It's back to that forest metaphor you used. The answer is not to go make a new forest. You've got to start somewhere that has some decent soil. You've got to start somewhere that maybe already has some brush, maybe has a couple of trees. You don't just go pour a bunch of dirt into a lake and then just hope we're like, well, we got 2 big trees, it's gonna be great. To make a platform, it is way easier for them to take an existing platform and kind of build off of that. That's why you see like Facebook buy Mixer, not some independent group go, with Microsoft can't do it, maybe we can do it out of thin air. No, it needs to be somebody that feels that they had something that Microsoft was lacking. So making your own platform isn't as helpful as the fact that like creators this size can be relatively influential within the space that affects their lives. So they can create the communities that they want, and they can create the change that they want to see, and they can actually affect a lot about the way the platform does things, at least when it comes to them, through things like exclusivity. And so like he talked about the group of streamers coming over that play together. Now they have the negotiating power of operating together. And so if they need something that funnels the way they interact with each other, that's a big ask. And so you can make your own little grove in an existing forest a lot easier than just go, I'm going to make my own platform that doesn't exist today, therefore does not have traffic or a viewer audience, and doesn't offer any value when I'm not actively creating. That'd be a huge ask. And you would be talking about somebody who would then be hiring people with technical know-how that he doesn't have. So like, stay in your lane. Focus on what you're good at, and then use the resources gained from that to hire people to do the things that you're not good at, who are good at those things.
In live streaming, right? You got Amazon, Google, Microsoft with Mixer, Facebook, and what is it going to be? An OTK? We're not there yet, man. We're not there yet. So there's a long way for us to go. I think we're going to see a number of other people leave to YouTube very soon. And as I said, I think that whenever YouTube is truly going to become a powerful competitor to Twitch, is whenever people go to YouTube without being paid $1 million. Whenever that happens, that's whenever you're really going to see the change occur. And I want you guys to understand this as a viewer. This is good for streamers because streamers get more money. This is good for viewers because the quality of the content that you're competing, that you're watching, is competing with each other, so it's getting better and better and better. I'll give you an example of this, just to kind of to give you an example. Is that, do you remember whenever the Xbox 360, no, the Xbox One came out, and they were going to make it to where you had to always have it plugged into the internet? And where you had to, you couldn't resell games, and like there were a bunch of these other like weird 1984 policies with it. The reason why that didn't happen is not because of Microsoft. It's because of Sony. It's because Sony said, we're bringing out the PS4. It's not going to have any of that bullshit. Thanks for playing our games all these years. This is for you. And you got a better Xbox One because of Sony. And that's what I think is going to happen with...
That cuts the other way, right? Sony then said, but we're going to have exclusive titles because you love them. And every 3 to 5 years, you're going to have to replace your console with a slightly upgraded version or a new generation because you love paying $600 every 5 years, even if your machine's still working. And Xbox said, but you don't. And so Xbox moved the needle further forward, and you will get a better PS6 because of it. So the back and forth of YouTube versus Twitch is what benefits the creator. It's what benefits the viewer. It's without it feeling very good. It long-term benefits the platforms. Forcing them to grow up and get better and mature is better. And so this kind of competition back and forth is very, very healthy. I do think that we are on a wave of gaming content growing to the next level, streaming content growing to the next level over the last 24 months. Obviously, there's some extrinsic reasons that have kind of delivered a lot of that, but silver lining, let's just take advantage of make hay while the sun shines, and That's great. So, how do we move forward with this? You see these platforms doing this. It would not shock me if we see Facebook and YouTube make big, big moves in the next 6 to 12 months. It would not shock me if we see Twitch knowing about these moves and seeing these moves coming and responding. And so the whole thing moves forward. I think that just gets us into the next iteration of whatever this is, and hopefully there's aspects of that that are so much better that it makes up for the fact that there are probably things that feel a little bit worse because it wasn't targeting us. You know, it was targeting some other group of people that's a good thing too, and it makes your life just a little bit worse in trade for making theirs a lot better. But hopefully there's a net positive, and these platforms are all moving in a direction where everything is getting at least marginally better for everybody, and a lot better for people that have been kind of left out or the platform has not served well in the past.
YouTube and Twitch. So for you, the viewers, for us, the streamers, we win. Keep that in mind. I think that things will only continue to get bigger and better, and I'm happy and I'm looking forward to seeing it. So anyway, guys, as I said, it's going to be a short stream. I'm not going to make really a habit of this unless there's other fucking massive news or whatever. But, yeah, that's about how I feel. And I'll see you guys next week. I'll see you next week or until some other crazy shit happens. Peace. See ya.
I wonder if he saw Rich last night putting on a phenomenal show. So, and enjoy your break. I think breaks are healthy. All of us should be taking them at regular intervals. If your company gives you time off, that is time off to be used, not sold back to that company. And I highly encourage you to use it. Find a way. Your company should not be running where each person is so mandatory they can't take a healthy amount of time off from time to time. Find a way. Time off is unbelievably healthy, and look forward to getting them back. I think there's some interesting moves being made by people, and I do think some of them are getting life-changing amounts of money where they'll be able to take on challenges and risks that they hadn't in the past. And so hopefully us as the viewer just get better content as a result.